As content creation becomes so much more accessible on mobile devices, I want to discuss exactly what I would do if all I had to create YouTube videos was this iPhone 13 Pro Max. So let's start with replacing this Canon R5 that I'm currently shooting on with this iPhone. So let me just get in here and there we go. Starting with how I would film my videos, the iPhone offers 3 video formats. The standard format, which you can see here, and then the ProRes format, which you see here, and ProRes gives you higher color fidelity and less compression. And both of these options give you up to 4K resolution. And then of course there's cinematic mode, which is going to replicate more of a cinema camera and cinema lenses, and the resolution here can go up to 1080. Now shooting in standard or ProRes formats is nice because of that 4K resolution option, especially when you're trying to do cut-ins like you see here. But here's the thing, cinematic mode is going to give you that depth of field, and in my opinion, out of the 3 options, it gets me the closest to what my Canon R5 can produce. Now with all that said, what video mode would I choose? You've probably already guessed it, it is cinematic mode, but the biggest thing for me with this is ensuring that I have adequate lighting when I'm filming in this mode. When filming B-roll footage for videos, I would also mostly use cinematic mode and ensure I have adequate lighting for the shots I'm exposing for. I'm gonna take a little bit deeper dive into lighting in just a sec, but speaking of cinematic mode, I do actually have cinematic mode presets that are available. If you're currently editing any of your iPhone footage on Adobe Premiere Pro, check the link in the description and check out my cinematic mode presets that are specifically designed to give you those nice, rich cinematic colors, and they work fantastic when color grading cinematic mode footage. In terms of focal length, I personally use the 1X camera, which is a 26mm focal length, and I found it just gives me the best picture quality. The wide camera, which you can see here, is honestly just too wide. It's just too much of like a bubble, a fisheye effect. And also the picture quality isn't nearly as good as the 1X. It looks a bit like hot garbage. And then this 3X camera is just obviously way too zoomed in. Now I didn't push my tripod back, but for this type of A-roll, talking to the camera shots, this is definitely not optimal. And the picture quality on this 3X camera is also not as good as the 1X. And this just honestly feels a bit weird, so that feels a little bit better. I feel like I've got some space here. One thing to keep in mind, if you are using an iPhone and you're just wanting to get basic talk to the camera shots like this, you're gonna at least need to invest in an iPhone or mobile device tripod, and you can get on Amazon or wherever and find one for pretty cheap. I've linked one in the description, so check that out. It's definitely worth the investment. Now with all of that said, here's the biggest, most important thing that you have to keep in mind when filming videos on an iPhone to ensure you maximize the quality of your videos, and that is lighting. Now I touched on this earlier, but I want to discuss how you can achieve lighting without needing to buy expensive video lighting equipment. I have this big dome light here lighting my face. I also have some tube lights here as secondary lights, but if you're just using your iPhone, you may not want to buy a bunch of professional video lighting and all that. It definitely gets expensive. So what if I didn't have all this? Let's start with turning off this dome light here. Wow, that's pretty dark. Let's go ahead and kill these tube lights as well. I'm just sitting here in the dark. Let's turn on just the built-in lights in my office. It doesn't look that aesthetic, so here's what I would do. If I was just using the iPhone and didn't have all this lighting equipment, I wouldn't shoot iPhone videos here in this office. So let's get to a place in my house where I would shoot iPhone videos. Here we are in my master bedroom, and as you can tell, the picture quality already looks so much better than in my office, and that's because there's about 4 windows behind the camera providing indirect sunlight exposing the image. And this is literally the only light I'm using besides the lamp behind me. All of this indirect light acts kind of like a soft box, and it gives a really nice effect. What's amazing about this whole setup is it literally costs zero money. So when you're thinking about where you're going to film your videos, definitely keep in mind where that best source of natural light is going to be in your house or your office or wherever you're going to film. Now, a few things to note here. This is indirect light, so it's not direct sunlight coming through the windows hitting my face. That would give me a very high contrast picture and would honestly be not the preferred result you would want, and definitely not something I would want. The other thing to keep in mind is that you're going to want to plan to shoot your videos when it's sunnier out. Obviously, if it's cloudy or if it's nighttime or if it's close to sunset, it's going to be a darker picture and you're not going to get the most optimal lighting, and your picture quality is going to suffer a little bit. So try and plan for those sunny days, find that indirect light, and I'm shooting this currently in cinematic mode. The picture quality looks pretty good. So what about cutting your clips and editing it and putting the video all together on an iPhone? Well, this is where it gets a little bit tricky. There's definitely some mobile apps out there where you can cut and edit video, such as Adobe Premiere Rush. Obviously, you have iMovie, which is very basic. There's also apps like LumaFusion. There's a few out there and you can do some digging and definitely try it. The biggest thing for me is that there's so many little details that make a good YouTube video good. Things like automation and keyframing, different titles and different animations, they're all very limited on mobile devices as compared to editing on a desktop application. Give some of those mobile apps a try if you'd like. I personally don't have a ton of experience using some of these apps, so I really can't give you a ton of insight into them, but I would definitely recommend trying them, and I'm sure you can get a decent product. But if you want to edit quality video, I think you really at least need a desktop or a laptop. And I personally edit all my videos in Adobe Premiere Pro. I know it's like, well, but I want to do it all on my iPhone. But you know, when it comes to really trying to put out quality content on YouTube that's going to perform well, you definitely need some good video editing software, and the best video editing software is going to be in desktop applications. Now, with all of the visual aspects aside, what about sound? I'm personally using a boom mic right here. It's a Sennheiser mic and it's going into a mic preamp, and I'm mixing and mastering all this audio in Logic Pro. So if you're just shooting on iPhone, you probably aren't going to go through the hassle of doing all of that. Having good quality sound is very, very important when putting out YouTube videos, because when people are watching it, they want to hear clearly what you're saying, and that sound quality really distinguishes the higher quality videos to the videos where people might just skip over because the sound is just not quite the standard it should be. So if I didn't have this boom mic, the next thing you could use would be just the built-in mic on the iPhone, which right now, this is what that mic sounds like. The biggest drawback with this is it's not a nice up close tight sound because there's some distance between me and the mic. So there's extra ambiance and the sound waves bouncing off the walls that are going into that mic as well. If you're filming iPhone video in a very echoey room that doesn't have like rugs on the floor and maybe bedding or carpet, you're going to get quite a bit of echo and reverberation, and it's going to be a bit distracting. Definitely something you don't want, but it still does a pretty good job. You can also actually use your AirPods, if you have them, to record audio while you're recording video on your iPhone. Now, the only thing is you'll have to download an app like Filmic Pro, which allows you to use a Bluetooth device to record audio while you're filming video on the iPhone. The camera app on your iPhone doesn't allow you to do this. But the nice thing about using your AirPods to record your voice is that because it's so close to your face, you get a much tighter sound and a lot less echo and reverberation. Now, keep in mind, apps like Filmic Pro aren't free. I think Filmic Pro is about $10 or $15, so that might be worth the investment. Now, the other option is actually purchasing a mic that is made for mobile devices. Sennheiser, Shure, Rode, even DJI all make mics that you can just plug into your iPhone and it's going to record your voice. The only drawback to this is, again, it's not going to be a super tight sound. So depending on your distance from the iPhone while you're filming, as well as the sound treatment and amount of echo and reverberation in your room, it's going to affect the quality of the sound that the microphone is picking up. With that said though, I'll link some mics in the description for you to check out if you want to make that purchase. So what would I choose for audio if I was just filming on the iPhone? It would either be AirPods with Filmic Pro or some type of app that allows me to use Bluetooth connection to record audio, or I'd probably invest in an external mic that I can plug into my iPhone. I just don't think the internal mic in the iPhone is quite adequate enough. So making that extra little investment for better sound is definitely something I would highly recommend, and it's gonna make your YouTube videos that much more polished and that much more higher quality. So what about the music that you're using for your YouTube videos? Now, obviously, if you just use any song that's on the radio, you'll get a copyright strike, or you're not going to be able to fully monetize your videos. So you need royalty-free and license-free music. And if you know me, if you know my YouTube channel, you'll know that I personally started a music licensing company called Mood Sound Design. What sets us apart from all of the other music licensing companies is that we handwrite every single one of our songs in our music library specifically for content creators, filmmakers, YouTubers. Definitely check the link in the description. Go to moodsounddesign.com. You can start a free trial with us today. All the music that you hear in every single one of my videos is from moodsounddesign.com, some of which is music that I've personally written and produced, mixed and mastered myself. We are a young company that's slowly growing, and we've got a fantastic library of music that myself and a team of producers are constantly adding music to. Hit the link in the description, check us out. I definitely think you'll find some amazing music for the videos you're creating. Well, friends, there you go. That's exactly how I would create videos here for YouTube if all I had was this iPhone. Again, that only thing is actually editing the video. I personally have to use a desktop. Let me know in the comments though, if you personally use video editing software that is mobile app friendly and you've gotten good results with. I'd love to hear about it. But overall, with the right lighting and maybe a little investment for sound quality and an iPhone tripod, you could actually create pretty solid YouTube videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're inspired by this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps me out a lot. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.